What is up, my friends? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing a quick look into Performance Sample's newest release, Angry Brass Pro Soloists and Angry Woodwinds Pro Soloists. So let's take a look at the product page first. I just wanted to give Jasper a little shout out because he's one of those developers who doesn't do a lot of marketing hype. He does a lot of his promotions on his personal Facebook page and sometimes on the Performance Samples Facebook page, and he does kind of a detailed blog update style presentation for his libraries, and that's a really interesting way to build hype because it gives you a really personal feel into the touch of the developer who's actually creating the product, you know? So for example, Jasper will show an example of him, tweaking the samples, or he'll post, examples of quick writes and show the library in action before it's even released at different times. So yeah, it's a really interesting way to bring attention to a product, and especially on a place like VI Control, especially where libraries are all the hype. I wanted to talk about these libraries just a little bit. Anyway, getting into the product just a little bit here, let's take a look at the page. So Angry Brass Pro Soloist, at the time of this recording, it's $99 as a loyalty intro for owners of Caspian, Vista, Oceania, Oceania 2, or Angry Brass Pro ensembles. And then the regular normal intro price is $129 through March 25th at the time of this recording. And basically, it's one dynamic layer through fortissimo to triple forte, or fortissimo. And the approach he took was quite interesting. Basically, all the session musicians were sitting in the same session, and while one was resting, one would perform, and so on and so forth. So they kind of vibe off of each other and get a nice cohesive sound that way. So that's kind of what he's describing here in the paragraph. You get, one loud dynamic, double to triple F, with EQ modeling on CC1 to module based on recorded dynamic references to simulate dynamics. Quite a small library, like 1 or 2 gigabytes at the very most. 5 round robins on attacks and releases, 4 speeds of release samples. So that means you can play whatever speed you want on those samples, and the release tail will kick in accordingly to that. To get a quick look at Angry Woodwinds Pro, we got a very similar story here. It is a little more affordable than the Brass library, a little cheaper. And let's see what we got here. So it says the library is intended for thematic, aggressive leading passages contextualized within an orchestral setting, right? And he tells us what we have here, right? So the 5 individual soloists, again, 5 round robins on the attacks and releases, 2 speeds of release samples, 1 loud dynamic again, and so on and so forth. So the 2 libraries are quite similar, and they're intended to be like an overlay on top of the original Angry Brass Pro Ensembles library, especially the solo brass library. This one is just really nice to have a really aggressive section of, or I should say, an aggressive set of solo woodwinds. So it gives you more flexibility there. No legato, so it keeps the patch size and the library size down. But you'll see in a minute how easy it is to play staccatos and sustains all within the same patch. So it's basically like a performance patch. So let's get into that right now. All right, so let's take a look at the patches now. What I've done is I've actually tweaked the view of the keyboard here. So I've included an extra 2 octaves so we can actually see the full range of the piccolo here. But basically the lowest note is this D above C4, or D4, I guess you could say. And the highest note is the highest note on the piano. Okay, I believe it doesn't go any higher than that. So if I just double check here, that's it. Oh, okay, there's also a C sharp there, I think. So right there. Okay, so anyway, let's have a listen to the dynamic layer here. Okay, so very nice sound. You can hear the hall room information in there for sure. If I had to guess, I would say the piccolo player is not, to me at least, it sounds like he's not giving 100%, maybe because he doesn't want to blow the other musicians' ears off if they're all with him there or her there. But again, a very nice piercing sound nonetheless, and would sit very nicely in the mix. But again, I don't think they're going 100% because I think that would be a little overkill. But in this case, it's a very nice dynamic. Let's check out the flute here. So yeah, just a little bit of dynamic differences there, compared to the mod wheel all the way down, versus all the way up. But really where it shines is at the top of the mod wheel with that one dynamic. Okay, let's check out the clarinet. And also another thing you'll notice is that there really isn't much vibrato on any of these samples so far. So he's going for this nice upfront aggressive tone, whereas if it had vibrato, it'd be more of a romantic, passionate tone, So it's a slightly different approach, but I kind of like this niche it's filling. One little detail you might notice as you're playing through these is that when you play the note, you get the attack and then you get a slight hint of the sustain sample coming in to fit that attack sample. I think that's what's happening. So you'll kind of hear like a da-da, 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 just a very slight one, So if you have a listen, right, you kind of get that da-da, da-da, but I feel like in the full context of a fuller mix, you're not going to really have that issue come up. This is more prevalent in the brass, but again, it's designed to be a contextual library. So if you have it sitting with some other instruments where it's providing more of a pad or an aggressive section background type of thing, then you're not really going to notice that. So here we go with the oboe. All right, and we have the bassoon. That's nice, a little vibrato on there. By the way, I do have to thank Jasper for sending me these libraries to check out. Super kind of him to to do a quick look for you guys. Actually, he didn't ask me to do this. I just get excited about his library, so I just wanted to do this and show you guys what it actually sounds like. Because as far as I know, Jasper doesn't really do too many walkthroughs of his libraries, so hopefully this gives you a little bit of an insight into the bare bones of what the patches come with. Okay, let's take a look at the brass library. We have the solo trumpet, and here you're gonna have to prepare your ears a little bit here. Let me okay, here we go. Let's do some mod wheel stuff. See how quiet that gets, actually? That's very, very quiet. So he did a lot of, fade, like little EQ stuff with this simulated dynamic. Bring it up. So very blaring, very aggressive, and with a hint of vibrato as well. So that's always nice. It's not to the point where it's like excessive, so it sounds like a mariachi, but it's still there. So that's something you might like, you might not like, but I don't think you can really control that. So not a big deal. Okay, here's the horn. So let's start with the mod wheel down. Very declamatory, very upfront and in your face, and that rasp really comes through. So if you have the ensemble library of this version, like if you have Angry Brass Pro ensembles, then I'm sure you would find this a very useful complement if you want that slightly more detailed sound in there as well. Then we have a bass trombone. Okay, so here's what this sounds like. So you could actually get a pretty warm tone, and as you push it up, then the rasp comes in. And I was just pressing the sustain pedal there just to keep it sustained. And finally, we got our tuba. Here we go. So naturally, due to the nature of the tuba, the way it's built, you're not going to get the same amount of raspiness as, for example, a trombone or a trumpet or something like that. So, but anyway, a really nice aggressive set of samples. Great job to Jasper again. This is, again, a very niche library, or sorry, I should say niche set of libraries. But if you need an aggressive set of woodwinds and brass that do one thing very, very well, cut through a mix and have that aggressive sound without being ashamed of it, then this will definitely fit your bill, and it's affordable if you just want to fill that hole. So again, thank you very much, Jasper, and thank you so very much for watching this video. I really hope it gives you a little bit of an insight into those libraries. And if you want to know my personal recommendations for all the other type of libraries that I use on a daily basis, I want to point you to my sample library buyer's guide. It's 100% free, but it was basically like a compilation of all the libraries I use on a daily basis: piano, strings, woodwinds, brass, etc. And it's all condensed down into a succinct PDF for you to check over. You have chapters and all of that stuff. So hopefully that becomes helpful to you if you're on the market for a new library and you're curious as to what I like to use. Thank you very much for watching again. I do appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.